Welcome, wrestling fans. Welcome to Curtain Jerkin. As always, I'm your host, Jacob Grondy, reporting for the Main Event Marks YouTube channel and the Dragon Suplex Podcasting Network. Guys, I'm going to be honest, I'm going to be upfront. I'm not going to be able to give you guys Dynamite and Rampage review this week. But fear not, I'm going to be diving into AEW predictions. I'm also going to be talking about Noah. I'm going to be talking about Hulk Hogan, Sasha Banks. I'm going to be talking about WWE Raw and how much it seems like it sucks. I don't watch it, but it seems like it just is super bad. I go on social media every Tuesday morning to see what happened on Raw, and I kind of get a feel of what the big things were. And what everyone was talking about was that Alexa Bliss showed up. She was just there. Everyone was talking about Alexa Bliss, and everyone was talking about Cody. Cody fucking up a move with The Miz, and somehow it's not The Miz's fault. I mean, I don't know. I do think it's smart that they do this countdown to Cody thing, this clock thing, in the final hour, because that's apparently when the least amount of viewers watch Monday Night Raw. So if you're Cody, you can only go up. You're getting the lowest, you're getting the last hour, which is like, the shittiest viewed thing. So even if it goes up a little bit, it could be still the worst viewed hour. And even if the worst viewed thing went up a little bit, you would look like the guy who did it. So I think that was pretty good. So yeah, Cody's on Raw. Someone who's not on Raw for the second week in a row, Sasha Banks. But it seems like she was everywhere else. I mean, Sasha Banks was with Steve Aoki partying. Snoop Dogg is posting about her, captioning it Bloodline. Seen at another club just smacking a girl who's twerking's butt. Seen at VCon, Gary V's convention. So yeah, I mean, Snoop Dogg, Steve Aoki, Gary V, these are all big names, a lot bigger than Dewdrop and names of that nature. So it seems like she didn't really need the WWE, at least a week in to this whole spectacle going on. Comparing it to Mustafa Ali, the last person who kind of sat out and held out, she's making a lot of noise. She got on TMZ, arguably a more popular platform than WWE Raw. So it seems like she might not need WWE at this point. We're going to see how it plays out. But does WWE need women's tag champs? I think they might, maybe, probably not. But if they do, I think they should just bring up the NXT Women's Tag Champions. Toxic Attraction, most popular, thing on NXT, it seems like at the moment. So, they could do something where what they're doing with the men's tag titles, where unify them, but unify them across all three brands, and have some of these ladies you're not doing anything with go back to NXT, get a little shine, maybe get the titles and bring them to SmackDown or Raw. I feel like you could use this whole Sasha and Naomi thing to kind of revitalize the women's tag division, which it's funny that I say revitalize because the damn thing was invented at, I think it was WrestleMania like 35. So, we're only 3 or 4 years into these titles' lineage and we're already trying to revive them. But I think that might be a good way to do that is, bring up the WWE NXT women's tag titles, a tag team, a faction that's the most popular on NXT, and have them start wrestling some of these, lower end, mid-card female wrestlers, get the rub on some of these NXT talents, and, get some viewers to NXT. I think that's what I would do if I was in the WWE shoes. But, I'm not. So we'll see where it goes there. I also want to talk about Hulk Hogan. He's rumored to be the opponent for Ric Flair at StarCast. The match that WWF should have done, but didn't. WCW did, and it was okay. It featured Mr. T and Shaq in a cage and all types of crazy shit. Impact did it, and it was bad. Australia did it, and hadn't seen the light of day. StarCast is going to do it nearly 30 years after it should have been done the first time. This will suck, but I will watch. I think they still should have gone with Satnam Singh. If you're going to have Hogan and Flair on the card, that would be interesting. But against each other, I don't think it would work out too well. Too much old men in the ring. Who's gonna work? Who's gonna go? Who's gonna take a bump? One single bump. Hulk Hogan's not gonna be able to do a leg drop, and I mean they're saying Ric Flair is gonna come off the top rope, but I don't know. They did this like 10 years ago in Impact, and it was really bad then. And now they're 10 years older, and a lot of scandal, in front of them now or behind them now, involved in their careers now. I think this is pretty. This is going to be a spectacle, not in a good way, in a ridiculous way, and I just hope that it doesn't tarnish their legacy too much. We'll see what happens if it is Hogan versus Flair. I know I'm going to watch. That's all I know, and I think that's all they want me to do. And I think they want me to watch AEW Double or Nothing this Sunday. I'm going to have to not watch Dynamite. I'm going to have to not watch Rampage. I've got family coming in. I got my girlfriend's family. They're all going to be here. Her brother's girlfriend, the mom, the dad, and maybe even the sister might make an appearance. Therefore, it might be hard for me to put up a podcast this weekend. So there goes the AEW Rampage and AEW Dynamite review. But I'm going to give you guys my predictions for what we know is going to happen at AEW Double or Nothing. So far, we got Hookhausen versus Neeson Sterling. Anything with Sterling is going to be good, but I think Hook is going to toss his ass out of the ring. 1, 2, 3. We know who's getting the pinfall there, and we're going to see Hookhausen get the victory. MJF versus Warlord. Don't know if this is officially announced yet, but Warlord's getting the win here. House of Black versus Death Triangle. I feel like this feud is going to continue here either way, but I think House of Black is going to get the victory. Jericho Appreciation Society versus Kingston and the Gang. Faces win. Hardys versus Bucks. How good was the ROH ladder match in like 2017 between these two guys? Hopefully we get more of the same here. Hardy Boys going over, and then you can have the Bucks move on to face Red Dragon and get that feud going between the Elite and the Undisputed Era that we all wanted to see in January, but for some reason they just put it to the side and we kind of forgot about it. Where's Omega? Hopefully he comes back. I'm getting sidetracked here. I think Hardy Boys are going to win, and I think they're going to challenge for the tag titles next. I don't know about the Owen Hart finals here. I hope Joe wins it. The women's, hopefully it's a good match. Jade versus Anna Jay. I think we saw this at wasn't this a Rampage main event at one point, but I think Jade's going to win just like she did for Rampage. Jurassic Express versus Team Taz versus Lee and Swerve. I think they need to get these tag titles off Jurassic Express pronto. It's embarrassing how little they're over. And I hope they put it on Team Taz here. Starks, great talker. Hobbs, powerful figure. And then they would be great opponents for the Hardys. They'd be great opponents for FTR. And you can kind of revitalize the upper echelon picture of their tag division. They have the best tag division that's ever existed on American television. And they have it on these champions who are not over. It's kind of ridiculous. Thunder Rosa versus Serena Deeb. This match was a classic moment in AEW history. That packed crowd in Jacksonville for the NWA Women's Championship about a year ago. So I hope it's more of the same here, but I do hope Thunder Rosa gets the victory. I'm predicting Thunder Rosa gets the victory here. Her title reign has just begun. And now we're going on to the hardest prediction of the show, the only real prediction of the show. It doesn't really matter what else happens here, but this match needs to be good, needs to be a classic. And it could go either way here. CM Punk versus Hangman Page for the AEW World title. CM Punk is more over than Hangman, I'll say that. This is the most important title reign in AEW history, still, even if CM Punk ends it this weekend. The first champion who didn't have a WWE run. He had an amazing match last year. The match of the year, in my opinion, against Danielson. But if Punk gets the title, you can start having these dream matches for the AEW Championship. You can start having that big fight feel that I feel like is missing from a lot of AEW title matches this year. You could do versus Danielson versus Mox versus Omega. And then you could have MJF ruin it all and take the title from Punk. And I think all of that will get the ratings to go up. I think it would go well over 1 million, maybe even cross over that illustrious 1.4 plane that they could potentially do on Dynamite with Punk as the champion. As much as I love Hangman, the more I think about it, the more it makes sense to put it on Punk. I'm predicting Punk. I'm going to be reviewing the Noah show a little later on the podcast, but I did want to talk about two kind of fun events that happened in the combat sports world this weekend. One being the Floyd Mayweather fight, which we'll get to. The other being the GCW main event for Maniac, the show Maniac. I've been kind of overlooking GCW since WrestleMania, but there was a GIF of this one match that I could not ignore. I had to seek it out and watch the full thing. So I thought I would review it here and catch myself up a little bit with what's happening with GCW. It doesn't look like much has changed since I've last reviewed GCW. They are having some big shows. I'm going to kind of jump back in over the summer here, see what's going on, maybe before I dive fully into the G1. They are back at the Ukrainian Culture Center in LA. Amazing venue. Not that amazing of a mic or a sound system, but it's GCW. It's what we've come to expect, know, and love from GCW, is the mic is shit, but the crowds are awesome. But this match that I'm going to review is Drew Parker, the British-born wrestler who has made his name for himself in Big Japan, legendary hardcore promotion in Japan, versus Joey Janela here, a staple of GCW, recently, let go from AEW. And this match was a goddamn clusterfuck. The crowd seemed a little worn out from all the matches prior, but Drew Parker was not worn out at all. He went coast to coast within the first 3 minutes, dove to the floor, landed on his feet when Janela moved, jumped into the ring to hit Janela on the another side of the ring. Slaps a gusset plate on Joey's head. Joey slaps a gusset plate on his head. They're slapping each other. They're bleeding. They're getting this shit tangled in their hair. Drew Parker brings a door wrapped in barbed wire. And then I love this GCW thing. It's in a lot of other hardcore promotions as well, where there's just these people, the staff on hand that are just willing and kind of nonchalantly able to hand these wrestlers just weapons of torture, like this door wrapped in barbed wire. And they'll set it up for them at times too. There was a bit of good psychology here amongst all this madness, where Drew missed a 450, so he was selling the ankle because he landed, on his ankles, and Joey just kept hitting a trio of dragon screws. They brought it to the apron for Drew Parker to hit a sliced bread number 2 through one of those barbed wire doors. This shit looked awful. Both their knees just kind of fell on the door. They didn't get cut up at all. I mean, not that I want these guys to get cut up, but that's kind of the point of setting up a sliced bread number 2 through a barbed wire door, I guess. Joey Janela at one point staples Drew Parker's face to the ring skirt. That was pretty fucking ridiculous. And then he staples his own head. I don't know why he's, saying that he's like this maniac, but I don't really think he's the bad boy. He's not a maniac. I don't know what they were going for there, but I guess he did prove himself to be a maniac because he got back in the ring. And this was the gift that got me watching this. He lit his boot on fire and super kicked Drew Parker. And then I guess reality set in. This was a shoot fire here, brother. And his boot was still on fire. Part of the ring was still on fire. The referee is freaking out. He doesn't really know what to do. Joey Janela is, I guess, as calm as you can be for having, one of your limbs on fire. But he's kind of freaking out in a way that you would freak out if you were just a casual person. Not as if, he stopped being a wrestler here in this moment, I would have to say. And the ref just gets on his knees and kind of looks at the fire, almost like a Jimi Hendrix panicking. People just start throwing bottles of water. I don't know if these are fans or some of these staff on hands that are getting these barbed wire doors, but people just start giving them bottles of water. Joey gets the boot off, but it looks like his sock is on fire. they eventually, put it out with water, put it out, some of the staff on hand kind of get, I think, close and kind of put out the fire, smother the fire. But Joey Janela, with all this melee, gave Drew Parker time to catch his breath and recover from getting super kicked in the face with a fire, because it was only a 2 count. Can you believe it? A fiery super kick led to a 2 count, and then also led to Drew Parker setting a barbed wire board on top of Joey Janela, climbing a giant ladder that was in the ring, and hitting a swanton bomb, nearly missing it all, but getting the victory. 1, 2, 3. Drew Parker, an insane person. Joey Janela, an insane person. They put together a clusterfuck spectacle shit show of a main event, but I gotta say, I was entertained throughout all of it. Probably not the way they wanted me to be entertained, but I could not look away. I might have to start listening to Jim Cornette again, because I want to hear what he has to say about this fiery boot match. Another spectacle that took place in the world of combat sports over the weekend was Floyd Mayweather versus Don Moore in Abu Dhabi, not on a helipad. So disappointed. But Floyd Mayweather, the showman, not the fighter, the showman, came out here, and it really, really was fun to watch. It was an exhibition, 2-minute rounds, so you weren't really taking it seriously here. But Mayweather started taking it seriously. Mayweather slowly just wore Moore out with the greatest defense of all time in the boxing world, as we all know. But the best part was the showmanship kind of came out of Floyd within these later rounds. The commentators started, talking about Floyd Mayweather, and Floyd Mayweather started talking about Floyd Mayweather to the commentators. I popped huge. This reminded me of The Rock in the Attitude Era, putting the headset on. This was great. Holding the 7th round number and dancing with the ring girl as she was supposed to be holding the number was great. And then he just kind of realized that he should have ended it in the 8th round and just threw a giant, just hard shot right to Moore's tummy. And it looked like it was over there. Let's just say it didn't go to the 9th round. Fun little exhibition match, but I think it fell short of the spectacle that Jake Paul can bring to some of his exhibition fights, and definitely fell short of the spectacle that it would have been if it was on that helipad. I thought it was announced that it was going to be on a helipad. What happened to the helipad? I wanted the helipad, damn it. I digress here, guys. Going on to Noah Dream On. This was not a well-attended show, but it was a fun show for me. I'm going to review the last 5 matches. I'm getting into this Noah stuff. I'm learning about a whole new world of Japanese wrestling. And thank God for Muta winning that world title, or else I wouldn't have watched. I guess I've been kind of casually keeping up with this for about, a little over a year now. And, it's kind of cool because now the borders are opening up, and I'm starting to see more like luminaries, more foreign talent that I've kind of known throughout my time of watching wrestling, including Simon Gotch, who wrestled Kenoh. I thought this was a pretty interesting matchup. Simon Gotch, former vaudevillain, more recently been in MLW, been in Bloodsport, got choked the fuck out by Kenoh. But it was a good match, nonetheless. The real story of the match here was Simon Gotch wanted a handshake from Kenoh at the beginning, didn't get one, but then he felt disrespected and flicked Kenoh off. During the match, members of Congo, Kenoh's faction, were flicking him off. And then after the match, when Kenoh won, he wanted a handshake. I guess Gotch earned his respect, but Dasaki, a member of Congo, Kenoh's faction, stopped it. They start getting in each other's face. It looks like we're going to get a match between Gotch and him. Moving on, I like this guy, Dasaki. Hopefully I'm saying his name correctly. I don't think I am. But he kind of has a Barry Windham vibe. He's got the bleach blonde hair. He's kind of taller. He's not really skinny or muscular, but not fat either. He's got that good mid-Atlantic body, got that good mid-Atlantic hairstyle, which I'm into. I think it's cool to see a guy from Noah, of all places, kind of remind me of Barry Windham, so I'm hooked. I think I want to see these guys wrestle, and, that's kind of what they wanted me to get out of this match, so I guess it worked. Kenoh is the man, by the way. The junior tag title match between champions Agawe, Chris Ridgway, and I know I'm going to butcher these names. I'm sorry, guys, but Yoshishaki and I don't even know the other guy's name. I'm just going to stop it here. Boring match. Boring ending. Los Perros del Mal came out, interfered, so it was a no contest. I don't know. I'm not into the no contests in Noah, and I think they could have done it off the top, and it kind of went like 15 minutes before they did this shit. Extreme Tiger versus Hayata for the junior championship, the junior GHC title. Hayata started in 2006, but he's only 34 years old. I thought that was a pretty interesting factoid. Extreme Tiger, though, hitting a huge leg drop off the top rope to the floor, colliding with Hayata, who was draped over the guardrail. But the champ retains, winning with a sloppy Hurricane Rana. Now going into another interesting match with some foreign talent here. The Heavyweight Tag Championship. Rene Dupree and Hio del Dr. Wagner Jr., which we reviewed them winning these titles, versus Masa Kitamiya and Michael Elgin, controversial figure. When I was watching, PWG in 2014, this guy was the man. He was, former Ring of Honor champion, headlining, main eventing Ring of Honor pay-per-views with Adam Cole. I think he was in Impact for a while here, moving on to New Japan, wrestling in the G1 and everything. His career trajectory was shooting to the moon. And then he kind of just got canceled. Nothing that he really did, but he just, I guess it kind of got outed for being a dick and being a jerk, and I don't really know the ins and outs of what happened. This is not what this podcast is about, but let's just say that he had a fallen from grace. So I was pretty surprised to see him wrestle Noah, and then lo and behold, he wins the tag titles with Masa Kitamiya. These guys were a great tag team. This was the best match on the show. But Rene Dupree and the son of Dr. Wagner Jr. didn't even have one title defense. They put it on these guys. I was shocked for many, many reasons. But I do have to say that it was the best match on the show. If I'm reviewing and speaking about the wrestling, it was amazing. And Michael Elgin's always been a good wrestler. I don't think anyone has ever suggested that he wasn't a good wrestler. Even his biggest enemies in this, online war that he got himself into, I don't think any of them accused him of being a bad pro wrestler. I think he was accused of many things, but that wasn't one of them. Best match on the show, should have main evented the show, but what did main event the show was the 6-man tag. Masato Tanaka, Kiyomiya, Go Shiozaki, and Kojima, versus Kojima, Marufuji, and Kaji Muto. I know all these guys, so that means it's a big fucking deal, because I don't know too much about Noah. You guys are kind of learning with me, hopefully, or you're listening and laughing at me. I didn't know. I did some cage match research, but Go Shiozaki had a dark match on WWE against Jimmy Wang Yang in 2008. He, of course, was a part of that legendary Ring of Honor roster in 2007. And he also chopped the shit out of Kojima here at the early going. The first 15 minutes of this match kind of felt like a house show, I guess is the best way to describe it. It just felt like, everyone was kind of getting their shit in, popping the crowd. But then it kind of picked up a little bit here. Go ate Marufuji's kick, ate a Shining Wizard. Kojima going for the lariat, but Go hits a chop. Then they both hit the lariat, known for the lariats here. Go kind of drops to one knee. Kojima goes for another lariat, but then Go pops up and hits Kojima with the lariat, hitting him with his own medicine here. 1, 2, 3. Go Shiozaki wins for his team. Kind of solidifying himself and solidifying this current title reign that he's in. Getting the victory here. And I think those three men that he beat, Kojima, Marufuji, Muta, to re-solidify him as the champion, which is what I think is very important for Noah to do. He needs to beat all three of those guys in singles matches. Will it happen? I don't know. How long will this title reign last? I don't know, but I think it needs to last a long, long time. You need to this needs to be like the Hangman Page run for Noah. I think he needs to just go through a lot of guys, have a long title reign, and maybe when things are opening up, kind of bring him over to America a little bit. Bring him over maybe even to Europe, Australia. Bring him around the world and have him beat the best and have him stand in front of these large crowds. I think is the best thing you can do for the heavyweight GHC title. Go Shiozaki is my favorite wrestler. Noah, you guys are my favorite listeners in all of Combat Sports Podcast. As always, fly high. I'm out.